We're trading draft picks when we return. Andy wasn't ready.
Welcome to the Devy Devotional Podcast, a show devoted to college prospect evaluation with a fantasy football focus. With your hosts, John Arrington, Aaron Wilcox, and Andy Starr. This podcast brings you actionable strategies and player-driven analysis for your Devy, C2C, and Dynasty leagues. Let's dive in.
Let's dive into rookie pick trades. Welcome into the Devy Devotional, where we stay devoted to Devy. I'm your host, John Arrington, joined as always by Andy Starr. That's at AStarFF on Twitter. And tonight, unfortunately, we're not joined by Aaron Wilcox. He told us that last week, so we already knew this was coming. So we are not going to continue the freshman recruits just yet. We're going to, I promise you, there's going to be plenty of time to get into all that, and we're going to let you know about every single freshman recruit that you could possibly care to know about. But we didn't want to do that without Aaron, so we decided to pivot, if you will, and we are going to pivot to it's a great time of year to start looking at what can you do with your rookie picks. You know, dynasty leagues are transitioning over, rolling over to the 2026 season. You're finally starting to see those numbers next to it. Instead of just 26 first, it says 26,108 or whatever it is. And next thing you know, people start sending out trades, start getting trade happy, wanting to make those moves. And so we said, hey, who are some players that we could possibly trade some of these picks for? Or who are some players that maybe we could possibly trade away to get some of these picks, if we're trying to do the opposite. And then I actually came through and made a list of real trades that have happened recently in the past, actually in the past 48 hours. And so we have quite a list here, and we can go over all of that, doing a lot of trades, rookie pick, valuation, all that kind of stuff tonight. That's what we'll be doing. But first, we got to check in with Andy. How are you doing tonight, buddy?
I'm doing well. It's still cold here. I finally actually got up above freezing for like the first time in what feels like 3 months. So that was nice. But yeah, football's officially over, right? I mean, we're in the dead zone again, which depends on how you feel about that. I know it's exciting for us dynasty players at times, but at the same time, it's like, what do we do with our weekends now? So I'm
Lots of research.
Currently navigating that. But yes, I'm if people are wondering, hey, where's the FCS content? I'm working on it. There's been a lot of FCS transfers this year. I'm about halfway through the running backs. There's 2 or 3 guys already that I want to tell you about, but we're going to save that for a later date. Maybe I'll do like a video separate from the podcast. We'll have to figure that out on the side, but there will be FCS stuff eventually, hopefully before you have to do your supplemental drafts.
Yeah, that's great, because that is not something that I get into, and so it's always nice when Andy lets us know who's transferring up that we should actually care about. There's definitely been some hits from that crowd, from those players that have transferred up, and so some names that we should know, and we will get to that soon as well. But like I said, tonight we're definitely going to be focusing on the rookie picks, and I guess players that will eventually be a rookie pick, most likely, are also part of Guess the Guy. Let's guess the guy. That's right. Tonight's Guess the Guy is I am up. It's my turn. I was kind of hoping that I was going to get away from having to do it because Aaron was gone, but that's not how it works. I still have to do it, and I'm just hoping I can catch up because both of these guys, Andy and Aaron, have had some pretty good round twos here, and so I'm a little concerned. I need to catch up. I'm quite a bit behind in third place right now.
I think you can do it. You're probably not going to get it on the first guess, maybe not the second guess, but I think you can get some points here. but go ahead and take your shot in the dark if you want to, and we'll see what
I,
happens.
I'm I'm trying to figure out if you were screwing with me in the before we started the pod. You said, "Oh, I got to look up his market share," and so that leads me to believe it's another wide receiver. But you had kind of said, you had kind of hinted at doing another position finally, even though we've only done wide receivers. So now I'm sitting here, probably psyching myself out. But I'm going to go with, oh man, I am going to go with Deuce Robinson,
Deuce Robinson.
wide
Good guess.
receiver, Florida State.
Not the correct guess, but you were right. It was a wide receiver. So you can continue on down that path, but it's not Deuce Robinson.
All right, not Deuce Robinson, but it is a wide receiver. All right, are you continuing with the being nice, or are you being mean? Um, we haven't done Malachi Tony, have we? I don't think we've done that as a guest the guy.
No, we have not. Well, at least I haven't been here when Malachi, so I don't think so.
Well, last year he wasn't available because he was a freshman. Now he's a
Right.
sophomore, so he's
Yeah,
actually
so I don't
available
think we
to
have.
be.
It's not him. And you'll have to help me out. Do we do market share next or year in college next?
Market share.
Okay. 14.8%.
Ooh, that's not very good. 14.8%. Man, 14.8% wide receiver. That is not very good. Uh, and he's in the top 75?
Yeah.
um,
Comfortably.
Comfortably in the top 75 of Devy ranks. 14%. He was a Vernell Brown the third.
No. But you're on the right track in that both of those guys are going into their second year. This player is also going into his second season.
Mm. Okay. I mean, I kind of feel like, obviously there can be third year guys or fourth year guys, but we've covered a lot of them already. That's why I'm kind of leaning more towards some of these younger players that we really haven't covered yet. We haven't had a chance to. 14% second year guy. Man, you were saying I was going to do well on this. This is not this is not going well. I don't even have any ideas in my head of
Yeah.
uh, of who it could be. Uh, let's see, Desmond Roebuck.
It's not Desmond Roebuck. I thought you might guess that. But this player is also in the Big Ten.
Also in the Big Ten. Um, oh, you know what? Is this DeCorian Moore?
No, no, no.
Ugh.
There was a few options in the Big Ten. It's not Decorian Moore. Do I
I
give
just
you
wonder because
team now?
he was probably on pace for a much higher rate, but when it was all said and done, he was probably close to that like 14 or 15%.
Yeah, I couldn't tell you. You guys know the market shares off the top of your head way better than I do. Um, so I think we're at team now, right? This should give it
Mm,
away.
yes, team.
Yeah, this player plays for USC.
This player plays for USC. Tanook Hines.
That's the guy. And you
Man, he,
guessed
he
him.
did cross my mind earlier, and I was just
Yeah.
like, I don't know, maybe
You know,
I just didn't think he had done enough. But
you know what made me think of him is the CFF mock draft that Jared Palmgren posted, and Tanook Hines was like a third or fourth round pick, and I was like,
wow,
Tanook Hines, like that early in the
yeah,
CFF, and
I don't
I
know if I
didn't
like him
think
like
that I liked
that.
him that much, but you know what? He does cross like a lot of the thresholds that I want a freshman to cross.
Mm,
So I don't hate Tanook Hines. I think I probably was lower on him than I should have been. So that kind of made me reevaluate it. I was like, oh, that might be a good guess, the guy. So he was in my top 10 freshman wide receivers, which included Roebuck and Decorian Moore and Vernell Brown. But he was kind of lower on the list. I think he would probably move up a couple spots now, based on how he finished this year. He had a couple 100-yard games in the last few weeks. So, yeah, threw him out there. I don't know. He just seemed like a guy that I wouldn't call him like a late bloomer, but like he kind of popped onto the scene there at the end where, maybe should have been higher on my radar than he was.
Man, I'm too good with the market shares. Decorian Moore had a 14% market share. I totally nailed that one, but I
The
did
other
not know
guy I
the
was thinking
player.
might make it like Roebuck. I thought was going to make it difficult in the Big Ten, and then also Andrew Marsh from Michigan might be around there too, at
Well,
that
Marsh was at
14%.
27%, so that
Oh, was
definitely
he?
wasn't going to be the case. Yeah.
See, I don't know my market shares. I just
Yeah.
see.
Yeah, no. Andrew Marsh was at 27%. And then where was Roebuck? I think Roebuck was at 18%. So he
Okay.
was he was definitely a lot closer. That's why I went with him. Actually, what I said Vernell Brown, he had 21%. So he was actually higher than I thought, but
Yeah.
there was a lot of injuries and stuff, so it made sense that he probably got more of a market share than maybe we even expected. But yeah, I like Tanook Hines. I don't think I like him in the third round of a startup. That's
Well, this is CFF only, but I still doesn't make it better,
no.
because like he hasn't really shown that he's ever going to be the wide receiver one there. They brought in Terrell Anderson from NC State, who I know wasn't like a world beater or anything, but he's another body in the room. So I don't know that he's like going to be this CFF stud or anything.
Yeah, I mean that's probably a lot of wish casting, saying like, "Oh, he's just going to take over the Makai Lemon role and all that kind of stuff." And
Right?
I don't know if we're there yet.
No, not quite.
Although, what was his A dot? He actually had he actually had a 14.1 A dot. This was not like a screen merchant or anything like that. So where you can just say he's just going to straight up take over Makai Lemon's role. Like I would almost assume that that's not going to happen, but we've also seen crazier things happen. So I don't hate the player. Good player to talk about. Good player for guess the guy. He definitely got me with that one. I was not prepared for Tanook Hines, but but like I said, a fun player to talk about, and it will probably not be the last time that we will talk about him either. Why don't we though dive into Debbie? Alrighty, like I said, tonight we are going over all things pick values, dynasty rookie pick trades, all that kind of stuff. Basically making sure that you guys know what your picks are worth or what you should be doing to try and accumulate more or less picks or whatever that is. Andy said he was going to start us off with some picks that he kind of came up with. There's some possible trades that he had come up with that you might be able to make. And then, like I said, I have quite the list of actual trades that have gone down in the past couple days. And so we'll cover all that and then, analyze whether we agree, disagree, love or hate the trades, all that kind of stuff. But first, let's get into some hypotheticals and have some fun with it.
Yeah, the first, like when we came up with the topic, the first thing I did was kind of like come up with guys that I'd in the NFL I'd want to be trading for. And generally when I'm thinking of guys that I want to trade for, it's guys that maybe their value is lower than my value, obviously. So good targets in that situation are kind of guys that had down years who I still think are good. And the first two receivers that came to my mind were Marvin Harrison Jr. and Brian Thomas Jr. And I'm thinking about, well, okay, well, what could I move in terms of a rookie pick to get one of those guys? And I ended up thinking like if I had one of those end of the tier picks, end of like the top tier in that 104 to 106 range, I would probably be willing to not take the risk on like a Mendoza. Mendoza might even end up going before that in a lot of rookie drafts. but maybe I don't want to take the risk on a Lemon or a Tate and just say, let me go for that third year breakout for MHJ. Can he do what JSN did last year, where he just finally kind of explodes? BTJ, I know he had the injury this year. We saw what he could do his rookie season. Can he get back to form and kind of again have that third year breakout? And I would be willing to trade off of either whether it be Carnell Tate or Makai Lemon to go for that big season potential with one of those guys.
So you're saying, somewhere around the 103, 104, 105 range, somewhere in that
Yeah, I
mix.
think I think if Tyson was like if we're sitting there on draft day and Tyson's available to me with one of those picks, I'd probably just take Jordan Tyson because it seems like Tyson can fall to that range. But if
Yeah.
if you're playing with a guy who likes Tyson, Tyson's gone, and it's between you've got like Mendoza, Lemon, and Tate at those are the guys that you might potentially take. I think I would move off of that pick for one of these wide receivers.
Yeah, I definitely like that. And actually, I'm looking through like the values that I have for those picks and then like the values I have for those players, and it's almost dead even. So, and honestly, like I have BTJ and MHJ valued the same right now, but personally, I believe more in MHJ than I do BTJ. The only thing you can say is that BTJ has obviously even shown us more on in year one than Marvin Harrison ever really has yet. And so like we can say, well, BTJ already did it, but then we can start caveating and saying, well, he did it with Mac Jones and it was the end of the season, blah blah whatever that kind of thing. But I like where your head's at. A lot of people have already talked about, after 105, it's a teardrop, and I want to do this and this and that. But it's like, you don't have to. If Jordan Tyson and Jeremiah Love go 101, 102, you can start thinking about this stuff at 103, 104 too. You don't have to step into that tier two. You can go possibly get these players. I think we would assume that Arizona should be on the rise. Bringing in a new head coach, bringing in a new everything. The Drew Petzing offense is finally gone, thank God. We would assume they're on the rise. BTJ, I mean, nothing's truly changing for them, but we're just hoping maybe a year of health. He had the wrist injury and stuff like that. Another year, developing with Trevor Lawrence, maybe he can get back to form, like he did as a rookie. We've already seen him, have those huge splash plays and everything. Can we see it again? So when you're, especially right now as it is, when you're sitting here going, we have no idea. Makai Lemon could be a Jet. He could be the wide receiver too on the New York Jets. I've seen him go to the Dolphins with who at QB, because they've already basically said that Tua's gone. So like, Quinn Ewers going to be your QB? No, no, thank you. I've seen so many bad. I've seen the Titans. Like, and not to say that that's a terrible situation. I don't hate it, but you can't say that, like, you're overly excited about that situation. So you start talking about these guys going to these things, and I've seen Tate going to New York, the Giants, and I don't hate that at all. I think for the Giants, for Jackson Dart, for everyone except for Carnell Tate, that would probably be amazing. But all things considered, when you're Carnell Tate versus Malik Neighbors, I'm sorry, Malik Neighbors wins that battle every day of the week. So, I don't think it would be amazing for Carnell Tate. That being said, I think it would be amazing for football. So, when you start already having those question marks and even considering landing spots and stuff, I definitely like those trades. Oh, you're muted.
I kept missing the clicking button. But the other guy that came to my mind right away was Joe Burrow. And I know he's going to be a little bit pricier, but I'm thinking like, well, what if I have two picks in this draft, and one of them maybe is like one in that same tier, in that 104 to 106 range, and then I've got a late first. Well, those late, or maybe even an early second, like after 110, 111, I don't want to say those picks are worthless to me, but they're very much disposable. So if I have the 106 and maybe even like another first in this draft or a projected late first in the next draft, I would consider just saying, if Burrow's available, if he's on a team that's rebuilding or a team that has extra QBs, who's thinking, maybe Burrow's going to retire. He's been saying all these things. He's always getting hurt. He gets sacked more than anybody. I just, throw out a feeler for that. One of these mid first round picks, late picks, which I say very disposable. The hit rates on them are not going to be very good this year. And just transform that into potentially like a long term quarterback starter for your dynasty team. So I think that's a move that you could make. If you're looking to make a smaller splash, maybe you just take like one of those middle round picks and look for like the CJ Stroud owner. Maybe he's trying to move off of him, or Trevor Lawrence potentially with like a middle to late round first round pick. You can get a starting QB who's been in the league for a while, somewhat entrenched. Like they've got contracts to be on the team for several more years. They're gonna be the starter. Just move off one of these first round picks and just get yourself a QB for the next few seasons at least.
Yeah, actually, I was just looking through as you were saying that, and one of the real trades that's happened within the past 48 hours in a 12-team Superflex Dynasty League, 2026 104 for Brian Thomas Jr. So that's exactly what you were just talking about, and then another one in a now 10-team Superflex Titan Premium League, 2026 105 for CJ Stroud and 202. I think I like that. Let's
Yeah.
just let's assume for this purpose that you're looking at Fernando Mendoza at 105 and you're going, okay, I mean, like, I definitely do not hate Mendoza, but I don't know that he's like a league winner by any means. You go get a guy that people are like putting down now in CJ Stroud, but they had him up at QB2 overall just 2 seasons ago. And honestly, it's been the offensive line. Like, I'm not saying that like all of a sudden it's going to be everything's going to be magically fixed next year. But if they just get a couple offensive linemen in there, things will be better for Stroud. I mean, they basically, I don't know what they were thinking, but they traded away their best offensive lineman after they had lost like two other offensive linemen, and then they're like, all right, we're gonna go and we're gonna win the league, and it's like, no, you're not. Your quarterback's running for his life. But I don't think it's all doom and gloom for CJ Stroud. I think it's just been kind of, like I said, it was a rough year. I don't know what they were thinking. They obviously focused on the defense, maybe a little too much, and all that. But I don't know that you can say Fernando Mendoza is going to be that much better than C.J. Stroud is, especially on a Raiders offense that's very similar. Like, they have a lot of holes to fill and things to fix. And then on top of that, you're getting the 202, and maybe the 202 this year isn't quite what it has been in past years. But with how we feel about some of these players and how like there's going to be good players that get pushed down. I mean, could you get an Elijah Surratt? I mean, I've seen that in a lot of like rookie mocks and stuff like that. Could you get an Elijah Surratt and C.J. Stroud instead of just getting Fernando Mendoza? I kind of love that.
Yeah, absolutely. I think getting that second round pick on top is almost just like stealing at this point. Um, I would have I would have happily traded the 105 or whatever it was for CJ Stroud straight up, but to get a second on top, and like you said, it's not like what it has been in the past, but it's still a second round pick. There's going to be some value there, whether it's Surratt, maybe Omar Cooper if he doesn't get the draft capital, maybe Eric McAllister, who's a guy that we really like, who doesn't seem to be getting any love right now from the NFL, or at least the mock draft people. Maybe the NFL will end up showing everybody that they do like him, and then Dynasty Twitter will catch up at that point. But those are the guys that maybe you'd be targeting with the second round pick, or maybe one of the running backs who we don't love them, but they're going to get drafted into a better spot than whoever else you got on your team.
Sure. Now, when you were coming up with your hypotheticals here, did you come up with anything for 101 at all, or or is that too difficult to say? Because
Well,
obviously,
the one that came to mind is we've already talked about it before when we were doing Cornerstone, and it was, would I trade Ashton Genty for a re-roll with Jeremiah Love?
mm,
And the answer then was yes. The answer is still yes for me. I think Genty is, commanding more than what the 101 is worth right now. Um, but if that's the case, then and this is me trading Genty for the 101. I wouldn't do it vice versa. I would just get more on top of the 101, but I would do it straight up if somebody with the 101 offered me Genty for it, because I would take that chance. And I would actually take Tyson if we're being honest with the 101, but say so I guess you could honestly say the 102 for Genty. I would still do it because that's where I would take Jeremiah Love.
yeah, but you could trade the 101, acting like you're taking Love, then trade back to the 102 after you've already gotten the 101. Now you trade back, you gain something by trading back. Then you still take Jordan Tyson, and now you're really doing it right.
There you go.
Yeah, I was just wondering. The only one I had for the 101 was in a 10-team Superflex league and was the 2026 101 for Drake London. And I
Mm.
don't know how I feel about that one. I can't say that I mean, I don't know about how you feel about it. I don't think that Drake London's in some amazing situation right now that we can go, like everything's on the up and up. I feel like if you have Drake London, this is a great way to either go get the RB1 or the wide receiver one in the class, and kind of re-roll, like you were just saying, with Genty. Like, hey, this didn't really work out the way I thought it was going to. Like, it's not doesn't mean that Genty's a terrible player, doesn't mean Drake London's a terrible player, but hey, I'm gonna go get the 101 in this class rather than doing that.
Yeah. Now, I like London, but I hear what you're saying. I don't know what the Falcons are going to do at quarterback. It seems like they're over the Penix experiment. I don't they still have Cousins on that crazy deal still
The-
for another year?
they've made it very clear that Cousins will not be on that roster, or at the
Okay,
very least,
so
they're cutting him,
yeah,
and then he would have to go through waivers and all that kind of stuff. And then, I mean, I
I think
guess
yeah,
technically he could end up back on the team, but I would have to assume some team is going to pick him up, either through waivers or let him go through the whole process and then start over with the minimum contract or whatever it is.
right. So they seem like a team that's probably in the market for a bridge quarterback, whoever is available this time of year. I don't even know
People are
who's.
talking about Malik Willis and stuff. I mean, just a
I mean,
bunch
did
of
the
ugly stuff.
Packers? Is he still under contract with the Packers? He might be.
No, he's a free agent.
Oh, well then, yeah, Willis would be fine. But yeah, I don't. As far as London's concerned, it's a lot of question marks. I think I would take that re-roll because I know that I'd be getting Jordan Tyson, who I'm confident will have at least a Drake London-esque career. He had a slow start too. I mean, his rookie season wasn't anything to sneeze at, but it also wasn't like this highly productive fantasy season, and neither was year two really. It wasn't really until this year that things started to, well, maybe last year. This year and last year, things were running smoothly for Drake London, but it was kind of a slow start for sure. So, um, yeah, I would do that. But I do like Drake London. I don't think I would move. Like if Jordan Tyson wasn't available, I don't think I would
Oh,
move
actually,
off of him for Jeremiah Love.
I lied. I have another 101, and this one blows my mind. I don't understand this one at all. So, but it's a real trade. This actually happened. The 2026 101 for Jordan Addison, Rico Dowdle, Terrence Ferguson, 103 and 203.
Hmm.
So you move back two spots from the 101 to the 103. You
Yeah.
gain Jordan Addison, Rico Dowdle, and Terrence Ferguson, and you get the 203. Yeah, give me give me that side. I mean, obviously I know people are freaking out about Addison, like he's an idiot. He keeps getting arrested and all that kind of stuff. But like, he's not. He's like racing and stuff. He's not doing the who was the James Pierce or whatever that guy's name is. He's not
Right.
doing that stuff. And so, like, yes, he is an idiot. No, he's probably not ever going to be like the wide receiver one overall in fantasy or anything like that. But to move down 2 spots in a class where I can't say, like, as much as I love Jordan Tyson, I can't say that he's that much better than Carnell Tate at 103. Like I to where
Right.
I'm gonna freak out, and or like if you need a QB or whatever it is, like there's obviously you can look at that top five however you want really. If you want to go Fernando there, okay, so I'm dropping back, I'm gaining a wide receiver. Dowdle's, I mean, he's probably going to get picked up somewhere. He said he wants to be a starter. Some team is going to look at what he did in Carolina and say, okay, yeah, we'll make you a starter. We'll pay you, 10 million a year or whatever. And Ferguson flashed at the end of the year, and then you're getting that 203 once again. You get an Elijah Sarad, no Mark Cooper Jr., somebody to that effect. On top of all that, yeah, like I'm unless you're just one player away, I think I'm going with that other side.
Yeah. And I think what we've been seeing now, at least for you and I, we're still probably going to get Jordan Tyson at 103 based on
Right.
based on how things are falling in these drafts. So basically, you're just getting a bunch of players for free and some draft capital, which is great because the guy you were going to take is still just going to be there at 103.
Well, that's why I wanted to showcase. I mean, I don't think that's a normal trade. I don't think that's something you're going to get done in every league, obviously. But I wanted to show it that it is happening. Like people, every year, people do this to themselves. Last year, Ashton Genty was generational. This year, Jeremiah Love is generational. It's like they're not, but hey, if you wanna believe that, yeah, I'll trade back to 103, sure.
Right. Yeah. Let's see. I had a few other ones for it, at least in the first round. I had a bunch of guys that I was targeting with like second round picks. So this is more like late first round, but maybe even early second round. But I was thinking Harold Fannin and Aronde Gadsden, especially, tight end premium. Later picks, these are guys that I'm not confident at all in this rookie class. I know some talent will fall, but if I want to shore up the tight end position, I would rather do it with one of those guys than Kenyon Sadiq, and I'll probably still be able to grab Stowers with my second round pick, based on how things are going too. So that's who I'd be looking for in like with like the late first and maybe even early second for a guy like Gadsden. And then quarterback too. Speaking of like buy low guys, JJ McCarthy. I think you could probably scoop him up for like a second round, maybe just like
Oh,
any second
easily.
round pick.
Yeah.
Um,
And
so
this is the year to do that. If there was ever a year, normally I'm like, D- get away from my seconds. I want every second because, like, value falls. And don't get me wrong, there's going to be
yeah,
some value that's going to fall to the second, but it's not the same as in previous years. And if you're going to get a starting NFL QB for a second round pick, yeah, absolutely do that. But going back to your Sadiq thing, you're talking about like late second, or I'm sorry, late first, early second. But we have a lot of mocks, and maybe it'll change when it's all said and done. We have a lot of mocks with people saying, Sadiq's their 107, in this
right.
draft class. So like you're saying, if you're just talking about the player value, give me Aronde Gadsden, give me Harold Fannin Jr. over Sadiq, which I get it 100%. But I mean, if you're talking about the pick, 107, you might be able to trade back to 202 and then make that trade, or
No, yeah, that's
201
a
or something like that. So
yeah. I wasn't
if you're just
saying
talking about the pick
107.
value, yeah.
I'm thinking like Fannin is more like a 111, 112 guy. Um, you know, I just threw Sadiq out there just to like contextualize the tight end position. Like I would rather trade one of those picks than maybe have to move up or hope for Sadiq to fall to me. Just give me like if I have a late first and I need a tight end, I'm not trying to make moves or get up to draft Sadiq. I'll just trade one of those picks for a guy who's better than Sadiq right now in Harold Fannin or Aronde Gadsden. Those are just the two names that come to mind. I'm sure you could even like Jake Ferguson, who's probably even cheaper than both of those guys. I'd rather have him than Kenyon Sadiq for sure.
Oh, absolutely. And I have another tight end one here, and I actually kind of thought this was perfect because it's right after the teardrop, the tear break. We've basically said, and we're not the only ones saying it, but after the 105, there's a tier break in this draft class. And that's where people start putting Sadiq. That's where people start putting Boston and whoever else in this class. People start putting Emmett Johnson and players like that. But this trade is 106, and it's a 12-team Superflex tight end premium league. At the 106, trading that for Tucker Kraft.
Done.
Yeah.
In a minute, in a
Yeah,
second.
I'm with you, man. I really think, like obviously the ACL tear is terrible. Unfortunately it happens. But he's a young, exciting player, and there's just some players you cannot deny the talent. Like when he gets the ball in his hands, it's a different level than anything you see from any player besides maybe like George Kittle. Like
Yeah.
that's about the only other player that I like can really think of that's like when he gets the ball in his hands it's either Kraft or Kittle has a chance to score each time. There's not that many other tight ends that I go, oh yeah, they have that.
No. Yeah, he's one of those. We're in this weird era of tight ends where you've got, Trey McBride, and it feels like everyone else, honestly, right now. Brock Bowers was up there after his rookie season. Then he kind of took a step back with Geno Smith and that whole Raiders. I don't know what was going on there. Hopefully they straighten that out. Um, but after that, there's like this big group of like Laporta and all these guys who are like super athletic and good. And it feels like any week they could really just explode. But Kraft is in that mix with all those guys. He might be towards the top of that list too. So yeah, I'm definitely moving off the 106 for Tucker Kraft if that's on the table.
I would say I would probably try to get more. I mean, even if it's like a third or something, but at the same
Sure.
time, I'm not gonna let it ruin the trade if it doesn't happen. But like, I'm not starting if I'm the one sending that trade. I'm not sending that trade straight up for Tucker Kraft. I'm sending it for like Tucker Kraft and a player, or Tucker Kraft and a second, or something like that. And then they can come back and be like, "Nah, you're you're crazy. I'll do it straight up for Tucker Kraft." And you go, "All right, fine."
Yeah, right. Yeah. No,
But
that's
I'm
an
at
easy.
least trying.
That would be a smash accept if that ever got sent over to me. I don't even
Yeah.
think I would risk countering with a third or anything like that if it got sent.
No, I don't know
Um,
if I would counter it, but if I'm the one sending it, I would send it originally with more. But I don't know if I would counter it if someone sent it to me. I think I might just go ahead and accept it.
yeah. So
All
let's
right.
see. Do you let me? I was looking at like running back vacancies from um, free agency because you've
Mm.
got Brees Hall moving on, ETN's moving on, Pacheco, Javante Williams is a free agent again. Kenneth Walker is going to be a free agent. Obviously some of these guys are just going to be shuffling cards, and they're probably going to pick up another free agent to fill that gap. Um, but a team like Jacksonville has Bayshal Tutin there, who isn't like cheap, but he could. I mean, in this draft class, I guess he is cheap because you could probably get him like for a middle second at this point. And what you're seeing available in the middle second is not going to be what Bayshal Tutin could potentially do for you, assuming that Jacksonville moves on from ETN in the offseason here, which by all accounts it seems like that should happen because I don't think they're looking to spend money at the running back position just based on how they drafted last year. That just doesn't seem like what they're going to do. And Tootin looked good with the touches that he had, so I think they'll probably just move on with him as their starter. And he's priced out right now as like a high end backup. So buy him now for a second, which a second this year is like a third in any other year, and you're getting a starting running back for potentially the next 3 years.
Yeah, I mean, I was already drafting Tuden in the mid second of last year, and it was a much better class. So, now you're talking about seconds. These seconds are not the same. They're not built the same here. And yeah, I love that. I mean, if honestly, I already have like 30 something percent Tootin, or else I would even go buy more. Not saying I won't. I mean, if the price is right, I don't care. I have 50% Derrick Henry, and I have never been mad about it. Like I will do it again with Tootin and whoever else, and, as long as the price is right. So, yeah, I love that. Especially when you start getting into those, like, if you're like, well, I'm looking at it, and there's really not that many players that I love here. Like, I guess I could go Emmett Johnson. Nope, go Basil Tootin. Do
Right.
not go Emmett Johnson. Do not go. I mean, I would even say, like, I would prefer Tootin to Coleman, Jonah Coleman. I would even go as far to
Yeah.
say.
No, absolutely.
But I mean, Coleman is probably going to be a first round pick in most
I
rookie
mean, it seems
drafts.
like it.
That,
Unless
so
he,
that's once again where, like, you're saying, if you're just talking about the player and the player value and stuff, it gets kind of lost in just thinking about it in translation. That's what I was trying to say. But like, Jonah Coleman might be the 108 in your rookie draft, but obviously you're not going to send the 108 for Basil Tootin. You don't need to, but you can trade the 108 and get multiple picks, or a player in a pick or whatever, and then go get Basil Tootin. So you can really make this stuff work, and I'm hoping that's what our listeners at the very least are going to do when they're on the clock, and everyone's going, oh, well, you got to take Sadiq here. It's 107, and you go, you take Sadiq here. I'm going to take somebody else.
right. No, I got,
Uh, oh, hold on. So I have a couple more 106 trades that I want to run by you, and I
all right.
thought this one was really interesting, especially because of what just happened. The 2026 106 and 306 basically means nothing in this draft, but whatever. 106 and 306 for Kenneth Walker the third.
Yep. Kenneth Walker. I'll take that all day.
Yeah,
I
I
don't,
mean,
we don't even know where he's going to play next year, but it doesn't matter because like wherever
oh,
he's playing,
after the ACL tear, it's going to be in Seattle. There's just no way. Like, there's absolutely no way that they're not bringing him back.
you don't think
Um,
so?
I don't think so. And I mean, I guess you can say that Kubiak's gone, and so, like, there's going to be a new system and all that kind of stuff. I'm still kind of I'm still kind of upset from this season where Kenneth Walker just did absolutely nothing, and then of course as soon as the fantasy playoffs are done, all of a sudden he's a menace and just like going
Right.
on the greatest running back you've ever seen. But I think we've always said, I mean, he's a talented player. He doesn't quite have the receiving game that we would love to see, and that's the problem with him. But he was always a talented player, and so when you're talking about a running back class where you basically have one running back and then a whole bunch of question marks, if you need an RB, this might be the best. This might be the best deal you can make.
Yeah. I mean, similarly, I think Brees Hall's probably discounted, but I think he's still going to be more expensive than Kenneth Walker.
Yeah,
Um,
I think so. Especially if
so
people wait. I mean, if you're doing it today, maybe you can get the, like, ambiguity discount or whatever. But, like, as soon as he has an actual landing spot, people are gonna be like, "Oh, he's a chief. He's three first."
right, exactly. But yeah, if you're just looking for like best straight up running back that you can get with the 106, I think Kenneth Walker probably tops that list. I can't think of anyone else that would be around there that I would like as much as that. And like you said, with Charbonnet torn ACL, he's not going to have that split backfield for at least the start of next season. And maybe by then he's just assuming he's with Seattle. You seem
Right.
confident. I guess I'm not as confident because it doesn't seem like anybody re-signs their running backs anymore. But I guess some people do, and maybe they will. But and if that's the case, and he has like full reign over that backfield for the first 7 to 9 weeks of the season, that's gonna be huge. Like even when Charbonnet comes back, I don't think they're gonna just immediately reduce his role by 50% just because Charbonnet's back. So yeah, I like that. Well, I would have liked it even if he wasn't going back to Seattle. Like, you give me Kenneth Walker over whoever is available at the 106.
Yeah, I tend to agree. I was trying to see if I had any other more 106 ones. No, that's it for that one. I do have. I guess we can save that for after. We can just go through them real quick. But I have a fun one with Luther Burden that we'll that we'll get to here in a little bit. But what else do you got for us? Did you have any more in the first, or are we all in the second round now?
Um, that was pretty much it for the first, honestly. Of guys that I would be targeting. I have a ton of guys that I would be targeting with like second and third round picks. But if you have any more first round draft trades you want to go over, we can hit those now.
Okay. So I thought this one was really interesting, and this is a 14 teamer, mind you. 14 teams, super flex. Obviously, that makes quarterbacks even more valuable. So I think that's where this one gets really interesting. It's a 2026 103 and a 28 first for 102. And I think the way that I'm looking at this is someone is probably going to go Jeremiah Love at 101, and then this person is trying to make sure that they get Fernando Mendoza because QBs in a 14 team league are very, very important when you're talking about a super flex league.
Mhm.
And I mean, if you don't have them, you are screwed. And if you do have them, you are in good shape. So I feel like I'm not saying I love it value wise, but because of the 14 team super flex, I get this one.
Yes. And I can't think of a time that I was ever even in a 14 team league, so I know what it's like to, you know, what you're saying. Quarterbacks are hard to come by. So I'm wondering like if you could even trade the 103 in a 14 team league for like a Trevor Lawrence or a CJ Stroud because I feel like I would
Not in my
prefer to do that.
experience. Not in my
Yeah.
experience. I'm not saying it's impossible. Obviously you could, this year you might be able to get away with some of that stuff. Like, oh, go get a CJ Stroud, go get a Kyler Murray, go get somebody like that. Like you can get with these cheaper picks. And so I'm not saying there's not other moves to be made. And that's once again, I'm not even saying I necessarily love having to get up to 28 first to move up one spot. I'm just saying I do kind of understand it from this realm. That being said, if you're especially if you're adding another first, maybe you can step up and get a better player than Fernando Mendoza. Which honestly, when I was just writing it down, I wasn't even thinking about like, hey, what? Let's go get someone else with two first, like two high end, well, a high end first and a future first, rather than just taking Fernando Mendoza.
Yeah. Um I don't, I like Mendoza. I don't know if I believe in him as like just this can't miss prospect. I think he's more of like a 50-50 guy, which in the NFL terms that's pretty good because we all know that the hit rates for NFL quarterbacks is probably not 50-50.
No.
So, it's a fine dice roll if that's what you're trying to do, which in a 14 team league it seems like that's what you kind of have to do. And he's definitely got the weapons, right? He's going to have Genty and he's going to have Bowers. So there's going to be people there to help him, and I assume they're probably going to, get some sort of wide receiver help as well. And then, things could work out. They got a new coaching staff. We don't really know what's going to happen there. So it's just I'm not comfortable projecting him to be this, second contract type quarterback just yet, even though it's certainly possible.
No, no, I'm with you on that one. Especially after thinking through it, after you were saying it, like try to go get another QB first, a better QB, more proven
Right.
QB first, and then if that can't happen, then you make this trade. This should not be your first offer. This should be your more of a last resort if that's what it's gonna boil down to. But I get it. Like I said, I can see the scenario where Love goes 101 because he's generational, and then you have to move up to 102 to get the QB. I can definitely see that.
Yeah. No, it's tough. It's tough for me to speak too much on it because like I said, I've never been in that
Dude,
the jungle of a 14 team league.
I'm telling you, it doesn't sound like it's that much of a difference, but you're talking about what 60 more players that are out of the player pool, and it hurts, man. Like if you have an injury or like this year I'm in a 14 team league, and I had Justin Fields. It's like, well, you're screwed. Like
Yeah.
what are you gonna do? So like if you have an injury, or guy gets benched or something like that, like you're just there's no, it's not like these 10 team leagues where you're like, oh well, I have 8 other guys, I'll just throw one of them in, no big deal.
Right.
All right, so I also have this one, and I feel like if you can make this work, you are a dynasty hero, and I would do this any day of the week. I know you like Jalen Coker more than I do, but I'm pretty sure you're still going to agree with me here. Jalen Coker and 108 for 104 in a 12-team Superflex tight end premium league.
Yeah. I'm gonna take the 104. I mean,
Yeah,
I
don't
like
know.
Jalen Coker. If you're saying Jalen Coker and the 108 to move up to like the 107, then I'll take Jalen Coker. But
Right. Yeah, if you
but
if you're moving up a spot or moving down a spot, maybe I take Coker, but
it's
you're
such a
moving you're,
massive
you're moving up a
teardrop.
tier. I mean, you might even be moving up 2 tiers at that point. I don't know.
This is like the biggest tier drop I think in my experience in rookie draft history. Like from that 105 to 106 is such a cliff.
Yep.
It feels like what like the difference between like an early first and an early second was last year. Like
Yep.
that's like the difference for me at this point.
That's essentially how I have it graded in Beth, like in the trade calculator and everything is, you're talking about what would have been like an early second round for like 107, or something
Yeah.
like that last year. And it's like, yeah, it's a big drop, man. It really is. And even I would say even the high end, like if Jordan Tyson didn't have the health questions, he's probably a 200 in my ranking, but he's closer to like a 150, 160 because of the question marks, like that kind of thing. So even the higher end, you still have to have some question marks. So I don't even know that you can even say it's starting up here. It's more like starting here, and then you get to 105, and then you go, it just falls off a cliff.
Yeah. No, it's a real drop off. So I like Coker, but whoever you're getting at 108 is not gonna uh or I guess yeah, whoever you're getting at 108 is not gonna make up for that massive gap that you lost out by not taking, either Carnell Tate or whoever goes at 104.
All right, I got another QB one for you. Bryce Young for the 108, 301, and 27 third.
Hmm.
So I
Oh
mean,
man.
you're obviously like your QB options at 108 or beyond are Ty Simpson.
Right.
Like it's like you're not getting a QB there that's going to be anything close to Bryce Young. Um, and then I'm not even saying Bryce Young is the best quarterback that we've ever seen, but
Right.
he is the starter. That's not changing anytime soon.
No.
I don't believe. And in this class especially, I do not mind this trade. I really don't.
Well, the thing is too is like they made the playoffs this year. The Panthers that is.
Yeah.
So if we see a similar success from them next year, which is, the team wasn't great record wise because that division was garbage. But if they're like a 7 to 9 win team every year with Bryce Young, they're never going to be in a position to draft like this next top tier
No. And even
quarterback.
we like quarterbacks in next year's class, but
Yeah,
we also have been around long enough. We've been doing this long enough that we see every quarterback gets pushed up to being in the first round this time of year, or like going through into the off season. And so like going into the off season, it's going to be like Dante Moore and Arch Manning and Sam Levitt and this and that. And
right,
then when we get to the end of the season, it's going to be Arch Manning and Darian Mensa and like no one else. And so,
right.
like people can sit here and talk about how there's going to be 7 or 8 QBs that are amazing. There's not going to be. There, I mean, we saw like the best year ever with what, five QBs or six QBs? What was it, with Jaden
Yeah.
Daniels and Caleb Williams and Drake May and Bo Nix and Michael Penix? We're already seeing Penix falling out of, people falling out of love with Penix. We've already seen people falling out of love with Bo Nix. Jaden Daniels has already gotten hurt. Even in years like that, we can't say that it's, and that was like the best year ever, and we
McCarthy
still
has
can't
had
say that
his
it's
ups
always
and
going to hit like
downs.
that. Yeah.
Yeah. Um, Mostly downs for McCarthy, but unfortunately, but that just means he can only go up.
That's right.
Yeah, I think I would probably, because who am I getting at 108? Like best case scenario, I'm getting Casey Concepcion, and I don't believe that he's like some can't miss wide receiver prospect.
Right.
So
I mean, the
I'll
only thing I
take
will say, I wonder if you can get a better quarterback for the 108. So
maybe
obviously,
like
once again, this is not the first thing that I'm sending out. But if you're in a stingy league where everyone's just like, "Nah, you're not touching my QB,"
right.
I do not mind this at all.
Yeah, I think it's a little bit pricey for Bryce Young. I would be more comfortable trading like the 110 for him, but we're just splitting hairs at this point if that's the case. And
Yeah.
if you're looking to get a quarterback, then I think that that's fine. But yeah, I would probably reach out to like the Trevor Lawrence manager, see if he's available. I'd probably reach out to maybe Baker Mayfield manager, see if he's available. But if not, then sure, I'll go for Bryce Young with 108. I got a quarterback starting for probably at least the next 2 years, maybe more.
Which is not, you cannot say that about any other quarterback that you're going to get at 108 or beyond for sure. So
Right.
I like that one. Let's see. We're already almost at the hour mark. Okay. I thought this one was interesting. And by interesting, I mean, I hope the person broke their phone when they received this, because it was Rasheed Rice for Quentin Johnston and the 2026 105.
Hmm. That's an interesting one.
I mean, obviously, QJ had a much better year last year, but he's not doing that much for me.
No, it's
But
not even the QJ, like, but I think Rasheed Rice, yes. Yeah, he's got to be because at this point the Chiefs have shown us that they are not competent in like signing or drafting a wide receiver, so they're just going to use Rasheed Rice, it seems like, which is fine. And Mahomes has the connection with him. I would just take Rasheed Rice because what
oh, see,
what made me
I was
think
looking at the complete opposite. I'm saying you're not, QJ is not doing that much for me, but he is an addition.
oh
But
yeah.
then you're getting the 105. Like, worst case scenario, you're getting a starting QB in a super flex league. Worst case scenario. Best case
Uh,
scenario, you get Jordan Tyson in a super flex league,
well, that's
or
what made me
in.
see because you and I are valuing everything differently. I was thinking in the 105 and it just Makai Lemon comes into my mind. And in that case, I would rather have Rasheed Rice. But you're right, because the way drafts are falling, it seems like you're more likely to get Tate or Tyson in that spot. In
Right.
which case, I guess you're right. You're getting QJ on top, which he's
There's
not.
a
I
reason
think,
why we've said go get these 105s, because you don't know who it's going to be.
yeah.
They literally could be our 101. And I
I
mean,
don't think
that's not even
it's
unrealistic. Like,
I don't think it's as smash accept as what you were thinking, honestly. I think Rasheed Rice probably.
okay,
I know
if
you just don't
it's
like him
Jordan
because
Jordan Tyson and you get Quentin Johnston on top,
well, if it's Jordan
Rasheed Rice.
Tyson, if it's Jordan Tyson, but it's the 105. I just don't know that what the 105 is right now. It's a box, could be anything. Rasheed
Yeah. I,
Rice is
no,
Rasheed
I
Rice.
agree. Like I said, the way I'm looking at it is like, even though obviously there's players that I like ahead of those top five, I'm still looking at the top five as a tier, just because other people are looking at it differently. So they're saying Jordan Tyson's their 104, Jordan Tyson's their 105, and so I'm like, hey, I'll get Tyson there. You're obviously not going to get Love, but like you said,
No,
you can get Tate, you could get Lemon, You could get Tyson or you can get Mendoza in a
Right.
Superflex league. Like I'm taking that and I'm taking QJ and I'm running with it. Rasheed Rice has the off the field issues. He got in trouble again. I mean, he's literally like one strike away from being in jail for a couple of years or something like that. Yeah, give me the 105 and QJ. Let me re-roll. That's not even taking into account that Patrick Mahomes tore his ACL at the end of the year. He's not going to be 100%. Who knows? Like they are changing offensive coordinators as well. We don't know if they're going to keep doing the dinking and dunking that they've been doing with, that has not led to them winning games. In fact, if you actually go look, they actually they were actually scoring 10 less points per game after Rasheed Rice came back from suspension than before. It could be a coincidence, although that's a pretty big difference. I don't know if it is. I think just the way that they're playing is really leaning towards not scoring a lot of points. But that's probably enough about that one. Luther Burden or the 26-104.
I mean, what are we doing here? Somebody fell into the yards per route run
Right?
propaganda that's been floating around. Yeah, I'll take the 104, even if it's Makai
Please,
Lemon,
yeah.
which
You
I don't want to.
even better odds of getting Tyson there. And imagine if you could get Jordan Tyson for Luther Burden.
Oh my God, that's too bad for whoever got Luther Burden. Man, he's gonna really hate himself later.
Yeah, for real. All right, I think that's enough of the player ones because we can sit here and talk about every player we could trade or whatever. But I did have one that I thought was interesting because it involved 27 first. And so I guess the question becomes, when are you willing to move on to the next year? And it was the 2026 107 and 204 for 20 random 27 first.
Hmm, it's random. Yeah, I'd do it.
I mean, the person that made the trade may have a better idea of
Yeah,
who's
right.
whose first it is,
No,
whatever.
it
We
could
do
honestly
not know that
be
knowledge.
it could be locked in as a 27-112. I'd probably still do it.
Yeah, honestly, I'm with you at the 107. That's why I wanted to cover this one because, like,
Yeah.
we've kind of gone over other things. Tucker Craft for the 106. We've gone over 106 for Kenneth Walker the third, things like that. But if you're just trying to stick with player or with picks rather than players, moving the 107 and 204 for next year's first is probably a pretty good idea.
Yeah. Yeah, usually. And I imagine that that was probably at least a middle projected middle pick because he had to throw the second on top of it. Middle to early
Probably.
potentially. So
Yeah.
definitely feel like that was a good move.
Yeah, you would think almost because I mean I would even think yeah if you're talking late I don't think unless someone's really already knows like unless they know how good the class is and everything then maybe they're taxing people because people have been told how good the 27 class is for 2 years now at the very least so maybe
Yeah.
they are starting to tax people but even then the 204 is probably not going to stop me from making that trade.
No.
But then on the other end of the spectrum moving up, are you willing to move up from 206, 211, and 212 for 111?
No. Nope.
No. You'd rather have the picks.
I would rather take the seconds because I feel like the hit rate at 111 is going to be marginally better than what we get in the second round. And even if I hit on that first round pick, I would probably hit on one of the three in the second round, and it would just be a wash anyhow. So I'd just increase my dart throws essentially.
I do like where your head's at. The only thing that really got me with this one is the fact that two of those picks are the 211 and the 212. It's like we're already talking about how this year's seconds, especially the late ones, are closer to thirds than in previous years. So you start talking about third round hit rates, and I mean, don't get me wrong, I get some hits in the third
Yeah.
rounds, So I'm not trying to act like, and I'm not even. I'm just really playing devil's advocate here more than anything. I think I'm with you. I'm just saying it. You literally don't have a pick, an early second round pick, or even like you're mid to very late with your three picks, and so I just don't know. I mean, it falls off a cliff so fast that if the wrong people get taken, then you might kick yourself on this one. But at the same
Yeah,
time, I don't know that the 111 is going to be that much better to where we can say, oh, well, I mean, you're guaranteed something at 111. Unfortunately,
right.
this year, I don't know that we can guarantee anything. So if you're not guaranteeing it, at least give me three shots at it.
Yeah, that's how I look at it. Like I feel like even if I have, let's say realistically, it's probably a 30% hit rate in this year's second round, which I think traditionally it's closer to like 40%. So, you know, one of those three picks probably going to be at least serviceable in some regards. Whereas with the 111, again, the hit rate's probably closer to like 45%, maybe even less than that this year. So I'm getting more chances, even though the picks are kind of trash. Like one of them's got to do something. You would think if you do things right.
If I was a better host, I probably would have ended with a better trade. But well, I think this one's a pretty funny one or fun one anyway, and something that especially I wouldn't even say especially it. I don't know that there's an instance where I would not make this trade. Rebuilding, competing, or otherwise, I feel like I'm always making this trade. 2026 301 and Jack Besh for the 27 third and a 28 second.
Yeah. The second, obviously. That's the best part of the deal.
Yeah, but I mean, like you're giving up a 26 301, but you're getting the 27 third. That third next year might be closer to an early second
Right.
in this class or whatever, like, and then you're getting another second on top of it for a player who did absolutely nothing essentially for in Jack Besh. Yeah,
Yeah.
like I said, maybe this isn't the perfect trade to end on, but it's a fun one. And if you can make that happen, someone did. So congratulations to them. If you can make that happen, please go make that happen right now.
Yeah. Oh my goodness. Cashing out of Jack Besh for a second. That's nasty work.
And the funny thing is, I'm actually usually the opposite. I'm usually the guy that's like, no, 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 give me that 301 this year because I can hit, and then I can turn around and gain more before next year. I don't know, man. This year,
Yeah.
this year, just
Same
give me
hit.
those future picks, and I'll take the profit.
Right, exactly.
All right. Well, do you have was that it for your hypotheticals? We obviously went through a lot of real trades as well. We're over the hour mark, of course, even though it's just two of us, we're still over the hour mark.
Yeah, I mean, I just had a list of a bunch of wide receivers that I think are valued as second round picks right now that I would move a second round pick in this draft for in a heartbeat. And I'll just rattle them off real quick. You got like um, Michael Pittman Jr., DK Metcalf, Jaden Reed, Josh Downs, Alec Aomanor, and Romeo Dobbs. And there's more too, like Khalil Shakir, Troy Franklin, I think is around there too. Like these are guys that are valued as like a second round pick. They're better. They already have established themselves as like NFL
Yeah.
players. The Whoever you're getting in the second round is not going. There's a good chance that they don't see the field at all this year, at least any meaningful snaps.
Yeah, I would almost go as far to say like the second you even consider Denzel Boston, just go get DK Metcalf or or go get somebody to that effect because that's the type of class it is. Like it's the class where you really have to think. This is not the class where you just take next available. There are those classes, and that's where we see like sometimes consensus gets really tight, and everyone's like, one pick off, and it's like, who cares? Just take the next guy. It doesn't matter. And then there's classes like this one where it's like, no, no, no. You could literally screw up your like if you have like three picks within a six pick range, you could literally ruin your team. if you make the wrong picks, or you could
Yeah.
make your team if you make the right picks. So this is not the year to just screw around. This is the year where you do the research, or let us do the research and help you out with it, or trade for proven players.
That's never a losing strategy.
I think that that should be on a wall somewhere, or something like on a bracelet or something. Look down at it. Trade for proven players. Okay, I'll go do it.
Yeah. Simple as that.
Simple as
Words of
that. All right.
wisdom.
Well, that's your words of wisdom for tonight. So I'm not going to ask for any more. We're too far gone anyway, so we're not going to do all that. This was a lot of fun. As I guess a filler pod or whatever you want to say, but we're trying to get back to the freshman recruits and all that. Obviously, we're going to get into more of the rookie ranks and the rookie sleepers and all that kind of stuff as well. But tonight we wanted to go over some of those, valuation and rookie pick evaluation that a lot of people struggle with, or at the very least, sometimes it's just nice to hear other people giving you ideas, or at least kind of agreeing with you, disagreeing with you, whatever it might be, that all that kind of good stuff. But we appreciate you guys being here. We appreciate you guys listening and checking out the Gridiron Ratings YouTube channel, where we have our full videos and our live streams, and also our shorts, which we will be putting out some this week. But we are going to go ahead and cash out. We are out of here.